Hey everybody, and welcome back to Super Comic Fun Times Daily Comic Vlog. This is day 3 of our look at the free comic book day books I picked up this year, the year being 2018, in case you're looking at this at some other point in history. And before I get started, I just wanted to give a plug for the Jawbreakers Indiegogo again. Today is the last day. There's 7 hours left. Let me just refresh the screen over here. And they are currently up to $164,350. There we go. I got it out. And they're backed by 4,542 people right now. So this is very exciting. They've reached all of their stretch goals. And so it's just going to be what it is tonight. Like, you know, John Malin had a poll, like, you know, where do you think the amount will end? And, you know, the highest was 170,000. Now, my hit is it probably won't get that high, but I figure if I've got to pull a number out of my butt anyways, I might as well, you know, make it the highest it can go. So I sent a comment saying that I think it'll be closer to 180, but that was just because I'm bad at guessing, and I thought I should just go way out and be bad at guessing. In fact, yesterday when I looked at this, I didn't think they would make the 150,000, which was foolish of me. So today I'm overcompensating the other way and going with, you know, 170,000 or more, and I'm going to stick with closer to 180,000. And it's just a stupid, wild-ass guess. We used to call those swags when I was in the Army. So anyways, let's get to today's selection of books. And I have to say, today was not a highlight of this series, this limited series. And so we're going to start with my, excuse me, my failure, and that is My Hero Academia by Viz Comics. This book is a manga style, so you read it from right to left instead of left to right. And my trouble with this book started almost on the first page. It's just like a whole bunch of words. And so I kind of like flipped the page and thought, well, you know, I'll just start the story. And if there's anything that seems important, I'll go back and read it. And so, you know, the artwork's okay. The artwork's pretty good. I didn't really have a problem with that. My problem was with the story in that it just seemed all fighting. And after 3 pages or so, maybe 4, I kind of gave up on it because I wasn't finding a plot. It just seemed to be all these people with superheroes, and some are villains, because I guess villains go to this academia too, and some are good guys, and they're kind of squaring off against each other to show who's the strongest. And, you know, I guess it's a good concept for a book, but that's all this is. It kind of reminds me, like, I guess somehow I got the Comixology version of the Harley Quinn book from, I think it was 2015, and she's starting a roller derby team. And all it is like Harley Quinn either trying to find names for new girls or, you know, just talking about the roster. Nothing really happened in it. And so, you know, when people say a lot of times these go nowhere, I think this might be one of them. There was nothing here that hooked me. And I said, even when I was giving up, I said, well, I'm just going to flip through and, you know, so I can at least do that and try to take in the images. And the images are pretty good. They remind me of a show I watched as a kid called Prince Planet. And it was about this little boy who had this medallion around his, it was like a round one, and I think it had a P on it. And he would like put his fingers around it and say, Prince Planet, and then he would transform into a superhero. And so this artwork reminds me of that. And I'm sure the show had a different name in Japan, but that's just what I knew it as. So yeah, so it's like this first story is all this kind of fighting, and then there's a second story and I really didn't try to read that one at all because I just, sometimes something isn't your thing. I'm open to trying things. I was open to trying this manga stuff, and now I know more surely it's not for me. Well, I guess I don't. It's like that's the problem with Free Comic Book Day is you don't know if the book you're getting for free is representative of the material you would find inside the book. But anyways, there's so much else to read that I think unless someone puts a manga in my hand and says, this is the greatest manga ever, I'm going to, I'm going to steer clear of manga for now. So that's one more book down. And, I had other choices, I guess. I was thinking on the bus on the way home tonight that one of the books that I wish I would have gotten, and this was only, I only visited 2 stores that were participating, and the one store had it. It was ROM Space Knight. I loved ROM when I was a kid. Like, I think, I was pretty close to graduating from high school when ROM came out, I think. So I probably only got like the first 12 to 15 issues, and I think it ran into the 50s or something like that when it was at Marvel. So I was going to take that one, but then one of the guys goes, it's 3 books, right? I go, oh, okay, I didn't know that. Because they got a big confusing sign. I couldn't tell what I was allowed to do. So, and so like I had the Meta Baron and the 2 Marvel books, and I didn't know if I would be going to any other stores that day. So I knew I was going to at least one more store. I didn't know if I'd be going to another store that was participating in the official Free Comic Book Day. So I didn't get that book. Now, if I had a time machine, I would know not to get the Meta Baron at the one comic book shop and get the ROM. And then I could have just picked up the Meta Baron at Westfield, where they had plenty of copies. Like, it gave me a false sense of its scarcity when I got the last copy of it. So, there's that. So then this book, this is one I got at Westfield. This is The Legend of Korra. And this is basically a kid's book. What you have here is, there's like some annoying thing. It's like there's a little boy and a little girl, and the little girl is so altruistic, and there's so much virtue signaling. It's like and like they're at this place that's a shelter because I guess a monster just attacked the town, and the little boy and the little girl and their mom are superheroes. They're like avatars, like I guess it's like the Last Airbender type dealy going on here. I don't really know anything about it. I tried to watch the M. Night Shyamalan movie, and I didn't get very far in it. And I know there's a TV show that's much beloved, but I've never seen it. Excuse me. Enjoying the hemp beer again tonight. And so she's handing out this stew to people, soup line. You're in for a mouth-watering treat today. My mom makes the best tofu and mung bean curry. I don't want it. I like curry. The beans are pretty good, but I probably don't want the tofu. And tofu is like a heavily processed food. It's like you can't just, like if you want to make an apple pie, you go out to an apple tree, you pick some apples, you make an apple pie. Tofu, you have to do a lot of stuff too. It's like, I don't, it seems like, where would they get tofu? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can make it easily in the kitchen. I avoid tofu, so I really don't know. I don't avoid curry, and I'm not sure if I ever had mung beans, but beans are good, so that's not the issue. So anyways, the kid is like, the little girl's like doing all this work and being so nice, and the little boy is here playing with his pet. And all of these animals, they're kind of like chimera. They're like mixes of different things. So this looks like a bat and a lemur or something. I don't know what it is. And, he's saying like things like, well, we saved the village. They should be giving me lunch. And, and so like she gets really mad at him for being a self-centered jerk. And the mom is kind of like, the mom, at least she employs psychology. She goes, well, I've got an idea. And then she tells him that there's a secret mission that she only entrusts him with. So, that's good. And he goes, okay, well, I'll go and do it. And then it turns out that when the people fled their village, they abandoned their pets, which is very sad. Like, you got these hurricanes in real life, these hurricanes hit, and people, they can't take their animals with them. They abandon their animals. And that's just so sad to me. And so anyways, at first he doesn't want to do it, but then, she says, what about your little chimera? Like, if it went missing, wouldn't you want somebody to like help you find it if they could? So what happens is they go off looking, and then they see this, this thing is like an owl cat. So it's a cat that can fly, and the kid sees it, and the mom wants to try to coax it gently, but the kid's like impulsive. Like, luckily they don't have any of the ADHD drugs for kids. So, this kid is actually pretty representative of a real little boy, which is kind of cool. And so like the cat sees him, hisses and freaks out, and then, flies away. And the kid follows him, and he finds all the pets in one fell swoop. So that was kind of cool. So, this story was not terrible. It's just, I'm not the target audience for it. So, so he goes in here, and it turns out that this old man refused to leave. So like they got the SJW stuff, and then they've got the libertarian stuff, and he goes, so like, yeah, that's nice artwork. The artwork I don't have a problem with. The artwork is very good in this book. Like I say, I think this is for kids maybe like 8 to 12. They might enjoy it. So this old man is there, and he goes, I'm Jobo, and these animals aren't going anywhere. They've been living with me ever since the neighborhood got evacuated. Wait, so you didn't leave the city during, I can't pronounce this monster's name properly, probably, but it's like Kuvira. So during Kuvira's invasion, he goes, of course not. The government doesn't have the right to kick me out of my home, so I stayed put. And when all of those families abandoned their pets, I took them in and fed them, and they're like family to me now. And then the kid goes, but the real families miss them. And then then he like, plucks at the heartstrings and, shows the pictures of the kids with their pets. And he goes, well, isn't that sweet? And then like, he's kind of bummed out because he's conflicted. But then they convince him to come back and get a good meal, like the mung bean and tofu soup or whatever. And all the kids are reunited with their animals. But then, like, the old man is going to be lonely, and the little boy says, meet your new pets. And it's all of these flying lemur things. Yeah, so I don't know. The story was sweet. I'm just not the age bracket. It kind of balanced out between the, the altruistic little girl versus the impetuous little boy, and then it had like some libertarian leaning, so I like that. And then there was a second story which was really weird. So like this is like Spring Man. Like apparently in this city, people develop these spring arms, and some people can use them and some people can't. And they have like, I guess the first guy who developed them started this gym, and he holds a contest every year to get the next Spring Man. And there isn't much to this story. It's very colorful. These characters are interesting. I don't know if I would ever read this book, but it's okay. It's I think it's aimed at a different audience. It's aimed at kids, and I think this might be a very fun one. This is the guy. So like what he's doing here is he's got this table with like a dresser on it and something, and he's using it as a bench press. And I don't know why he does that if he's opened this gym and stuff, but my guess is that when you're a Spring Man, you never know what you're going to come up against. So you might want to work out with household furniture. That would be my guess. So anyways, yeah, that one didn't have much of a story, but it was like, so this guy, I guess he's like the best up and comer, and he's like trying to think of how to start with a great legacy, and he decides to challenge the original Spring Man. And the guy goes, I like that kid's moxie. And so that's where the story ends. So not bad. Seems to be for kids. Not really bad stories. I kind of like the mom tries to mediate between, you know, the overly altruistic daughter and the kid who just, you know, he's a little boy. And I like that he was a little boy. So yeah, not for adults, but you know, this could be a good one for kids if you're looking to, you know, they like that sort of thing too. Like the animals are kind of cool. And then this last one, this one is aimed at adults. This one is rated M for mature. Now, in this particular issue, I don't remember any swearing or anything like that. The first story is written by comic Patton Oswalt, who has appeared in such shows as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, you know, the artwork is very stylistic. It kind of reminds me of like the psychedelic stuff, like Freak Brothers and stuff like that. And he's just recounting a story. Like one day he went to the movies and he got there early, so he went for a walk. And it's just, you know, there isn't much of a story, and it's a lot of padding to, like, you know, kind of give some flavor to Hollywood. And like, I guess, like, you know, he's going down this walk of fame and he's like seeing these people, these names he don't recognize, and he tries to think of who they might be. And then he says, like, you know, they hire actors to play these famous Hollywood archetype characters. But he says, like, you know, they're there all day. They're like, you know, their feet are sore. Their breath smells like coffee. So it kind of ruins the illusion a little bit. But then one day, some guy was having a seizure, and these two guys were, one was hired to play Batman and one was hired to play Superman. And they're there, like, kind of talking him through the seizure, you know. And I don't know anything about seizures. I just know, like, I heard the police call recently for when Phoenix, what's his name? Not River Phoenix, when he was having a seizure outside of that one club Johnny Depp owns on the Sunset Strip. You know, in the police call, it's like the 911 operator is saying, just let him have the seizure. Don't put a, you know, he won't swallow his tongue. So like Patton Oswalt says, like, these guys were talking to him to make sure he didn't swallow his tongue. But I'm not sure that's what that always never made sense to me. It's like, I'd heard of a neighbor, you know, much older than me, you know, maybe 10, 15 years older than me. I think he was going to high school when I was like in the second grade. But then I heard he had epilepsy and he would have seizures. And, you know, when you're a kid, you get these stories that are like half true. And I heard stories about like his family trying to put a spoon on his tongue so he didn't swallow it. But I'm not sure. I think that might be an old wives' tale. And so I'm not sure, like, you know, luckily this is for adults. And then, like, you know, he talks about like how helping this guy is the greatest pairing of the Man of Steel and the Dark Knight he's ever seen. And then he wonders if there's like a, you know, across town, the supervillain is doing something. And then like they have a guy dressed like Sinestro trying to get like a student discount or something. And the guy is like saying, get lost, or maybe it's a woman. Anyways, there wasn't much to that story. The art was kind of interesting. This next story I really did like. So there's 4 stories in this book. At first I thought it was just going to be dumb, and I guess in a sense it is. So it's like this fly is writing to his wife, and like he's talking about his grandson. And apparently they're like, you know, there's some kind of army or something, and they have to go find this great hero. And so, you know, you get, you know, the grandson goes from, you know, the larval set. The story was a little confusing in this one sense, is like, you know, he's writing this letter and behind him is like a larva in a kind of cradle type thing. But then, like, you know, here he's giving like basic training to larvae and stuff. So like, you know, the grandson and him are, you know, like right now he's, what is it? I think his name is Flyra. His wife is Flyre. And I'm not sure if it's supposed to be humorous or not, because the story was pretty serious. So, so yeah, I forget what the kid's name is. It's something like that, like Flyra, Flyre. And then they go off on their mission, and then, like, you got this little bunny rabbit here, but it turns out to be evil or something, and it swallows them both. And, like, the grandfather says, get out, because that's, like, the secret of Nim 2, where the kid has got a destiny, like, you know, he's supposed to go and be, like, a great warrior or something. And they have to go out and find Oddwell. So yeah, that's what this story is. Like they've got this would be Oddwell, Flyra's flight. And so he goes, go find the frog of war. So for whatever reason, the flies need a frog to be their champion. This next story was called Helicious. And it lacked charm or anything, really. I think it's supposed to be this little girl is like an evil little girl. Like here she's got this watch and like, she's watching down the road and I think she sets off a bomb or something, or maybe she just knows when something's going to happen. I don't know anything about this character. And this guy ends up with a massive brain injury. And so, she's transporting him across the river Styx and she comes to this head on a pike who's like saying, you're going to regret doing this. But she's kind of like, wants to get to the torture place. And so she's going to torture this guy that she either caused the accident or she just knew it was going to happen. Like if I compared it to, what was it? Was it the Mr. Skeleton book from Alternate Comics? That had some charm to it and it was kind of fun. In this little short story, there wasn't much charm to it. And, you don't know why she's like she is. She's just an evil little girl who likes to torture people. Yeah. So this next story was kind of cool too. So I think there were two really good stories in here. One story that was just okay. And then that story that I have no idea where they're going. So this guy is like, taking a shower and whatnot. And then he's like, you have him going into this prison and you have all of these threats, like tier 1 threat, or just like regular prisoners. Like this is, one of these guys is like, I guess it's this guy, like Hannibal Lecter. He's in a mask. And like, all of these guys are like taunting him. And then you have level 2 and you have like a Doc Ock character and a lizard man, I guess. And I don't know who this guy's supposed to be, but he looks like Ultron, or not Ultron, but he looks like a guy in a Japanese robot type movie. Then you have threat level 5. Oh yeah, so it's not 1, it's 3, 4, and 5. And you have somebody who like turns into flames, and you have a kind of rhino type character, but it's not a rhino. I don't know what it is. So you have like inhuman sort of type things. And then you have this guy here who is a super villain. And his arch enemy is the Luminary, and so like you get some weird stuff going on here. I enjoyed most of it, but there were some things that weren't clear. Like this guy's like a reporter, and I think he might be the Luminary, and the supervillain might know it, and I think he can project thoughts into people's minds. So like you see him growing like 10 feet tall and breaking through, but then nothing, and it's like this all happens in his mind, right? And so like the Luminary or the reporter's like getting his backstory. He comes from kind of a broken home, and yeah, then so like you just don't know what's going on here. Is the prison guy like running mind games on this guy who might be the Luminary? And then, they're both, apparently both the Luminary and this reporter are from Wisconsin. And then you just have this weird switch. Like here they're in prison, and then we're here at a political rally where this guy whose name is Graves, I guess, is running for mayor. And like the reporter guy is like thinking, oh, something's not right here. I think he's lying. And she, the woman there goes, your Midwestern sense is tingling again. Something like that. That feeling makes you human. Add a little proof and you might be a reporter. And so that's pretty much the end of that. So I liked it for what it was. I mean, there was some good character development. You had like, at least you had the hero and villain on the same page. And I'm not sure who the protagonist is. It could be the villain who's the protagonist in this book that's going to come out. And it was kind of interesting. I kind of liked it because, it was like pretty good character development. And I think like when people say like a lot of these books on Free Comic Book Day are a wash, I think that's what they might mean. There isn't much character development. You've usually got like a half a book to tell a story. And I think that was the problem with Lady Mechanica, is you kind of learn a lot about her, but you don't really learn about her adversaries. Now, the book could turn out to be really good. And I think that might be another problem with Free Comic Book Day, is I don't think you can judge the final product by what's put out there. Well, anyways, that is today's 3 books. 1 total failure that I could not even get through. I'm sorry about that. And then 2 books that were okay. You know, 1 definitely a kid's book, and 1, it was uneven. It had some good stories in it, and I don't know that I would be buying any of the books. You know, maybe maybe the Luminary one I might try, but I really don't know what was going on in that story either. So, but like I said, that was probably the most interesting one I read today. So tomorrow we have 2 left. We have Shadow Man, and we have Transformers Unicron. So I'm hoping these will be good. At least one of them will be good. Oh, and I shouldn't say tomorrow. Tomorrow I will not have a show. I have a party to attend, and on Friday I will review these 2 books, and then I will pick like the best books I think I got this Free Comic Book Day. And I've already told you kind of like some of the ones I like the best already, but I'm going to rank them, you know, so it might be 4 or 5 books ranked from, you know, the best of the best is what it's going to be. It's like the ones that were just kind of okay, they probably won't get mentioned again. There is one other thing, like if I got it here real quick, because I realized there was 1 book that I got on Free Comic Book Day, one that I bought that I did not show, but it may not be handy. So one of the books I found was, yeah, it's not handy. Not sure what I did with it now, but I think it was Captain America 701. And the reason I picked it up, because I haven't been reading Captain America, I have no idea if it'll be good. I did read Captain America when the Falcon was Captain America. I read like the first volume, I think I ended up reading. And the parts of it I liked. It seemed like, you know, it's like Diversity in Comics has a phrase, commit to the bit. It seems like they didn't fully commit to the bit that they were doing in the first issue. I mean, the first 6 issues, whatever it is I ended up reading of that. The other thing is, you know, at the end of, or maybe I only read 2 issues because it was kind of a 2-part story. It's like the Captain America, who was the Falcon, he still has control of the Falcons. Like S.H.I.E.L.D. confronts him in the desert, and he just has all these birds crap on him. And so I probably didn't read more than that. That's all I need. I don't need that, you know, not my kind of humor. So so that's it for today. We will be back on Friday, and then we will get back to new stuff. I'm going to try to read CJ's, you know, finish CJ Stendel's graphic novel, the volume 1 of what was it called? It's right here, Rebirth of the Gangster, and have a review, you know, finish it next week and have a review up by the following week. And then I think I'm going to do something with the Inkle, because I don't think I can talk about the Meta Baron book without talking about at least the first Inkle miniseries. So that is what I'm planning on upcoming shows. And so remember to like, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to you soon. Super Comic Fun Time out.